Hey guys, how you all doing? So last week we announced the beta test of ThreatLens, our brand new OSINT-led attack surface intelligence platform. What does that mean? So for me, attack surface intelligence really is about using open source intelligence to look at your company or your organization and understand exactly what do people see from the outside, what could that data be used for, how could it be used maliciously, and ultimately our job then is to help you understand what you can do to fix it and then reduce that risk. Ultimately, the goal is to make you harder to break into than the next company. And given that the vast majority of cyber attacks tend to be opportunistic, it's my belief that if we can do that, then as long as you're doing the basic stuff right, then you're going to be so much harder to get inside network wise than like other companies who are not doing things quite as well. So all is to reduce the chances of a successful cyber attack against you. So without further ado, let's jump into the platform and I just want to show what we've built so far. So this is the main dashboard that you would see when you log into the platform, and we default to a global view, right? So depending on how many different workspaces you might have inside the platform, you can get a very quick one-stop shop look at everything there is to see in terms of numbers. So this is useful for CISOs, managers, or for just getting that quick like taste of like what's been going on over the last 30 days. Obviously, we only announced the beta less than a week ago. So in terms of data and actually bringing that data into the platform, into like tenants like this, we don't have much at the moment to show you, but as you can see, as we've turned on modules, we get a few spikes here and there. Most of these are from like credential breaches, which you'd kind of expect. And the downside for me at the moment to try and demo that is that the numbers here, like on a day-to-day basis, are smaller, which is what you'd expect. But then you get these massive spikes, which shows that there's not much data coming in. But ultimately, as I scroll down, we then see like a breakdown of like our critical findings, our high risk findings, our medium findings, and what we've remediated. This is a demo tenant, so I'm probably not going to remediate anything, to be honest. But then we can sort of go down and we can sort of see that broken down a bit further by each section or each module. And then ultimately some of the recent findings that have been found by the platform. So that's the dashboard. Pretty straightforward stuff. Our domain monitoring section. This is pretty cool, I think. So we scan the domains that we have for each tenant, each workspace every day. And we're looking for things that might be an interest from a security point of view. For the most part, these will be fairly low risk, I think. So if I bring this one up from today, we get like the AI assessment from the initial triage, and a couple of like findings and whether they're informational, low risk, a screenshot of the domain as well, so we can see what it looks like today. And then we pull out some information, things like the tech stack, we fingerprint different parts of that domain, we pull some of the DNS records, just things that you can sort of look at and get an idea of if something's broken or not. Inevitably, we'll be talking about things like expiring SSL certificates and things like that for the most part. We run a port scan, which will look for things like the underlying technologies that you're using, which ports are exposed, and then if there are things that are potentially concerning on those open ports. So this will pull CVs as well. And then if that CV appears on the known exploited vulnerability list or the KEV list, we'll also flag that as well, so you can help prioritize how you want to look at that and what you want to do about it, ultimately patch it, because it's already being exploited. So let's show a couple of these example domains that we've been using. So here goes a KEV list one here. This is like an Apache vulnerability, which is always, every time I ever looked at anything attack surface, I always see it. But that's a good example of one that's actively exploiting the world because it's really trivial and there's exploit code all over GitHub, for example. Some of the technology detections as well. What we can pull, if we can pull the versions. Like I said, it's done beta, so at the moment we're not getting too much from that. But we're also doing subdomain enumerations as well. And we're also looking for potential subdomain hijack vulnerabilities as well. So if there's dangling DNS records, we'll look to pull that information as well, which can be really useful. Vulnerability scans. At the moment, we're running sort of like pretty passive nuclei scans, and we're just testing against software versions for CVEs. Over time, that's going to change. We're going to introduce more interesting ways of scanning, and obviously that would need customer sign-off as well for us to do that. But at the moment, everything's very passive, so it's pretty chilled, I think. but pretty self-explanatory. Our phishing and typo squats, I think our phishing page detection is really cool and I think pretty unique in this space. So we are finding web pages now and we're assessing them for potential risks to companies based off things like the content that's being used on the page, the information we can pull from that page, and registrar information, who is information, like virus total risks and stuff like that. Obviously, this AI security analysis comes in as well. So we triage. Most of our scans go through an AI agent for that assessment. So we've been training those models to understand their specific role and what sort of things they're looking to pull out. And this acts as like an initial triage point. So when we get something that comes in that's critical, I or an analyst can look at it. We can assess for ourselves what looks to be going on, and then we can verify those findings, or we can sort of understand what the risks are, or if the risks are not there at all. But for me, it's just something useful to provide that initial glance at something like, what does this mean, or what's the likelihood of what this means. And obviously, with the phishing page detection as well, we're also doing takedown requests as well. So I don't think we've built out the feature now just yet for this within the beta, but it's something that we will be doing. So you'll be able to request that takedown and reduce your risk, which I think pretty cool. And then typo squat domains. This might take a little while to load. It's probably quite a lot because the domains we're picking are quite large. But this is basically DNS twist detections, but we run these every single day, and we're filtering for things like those that have mail servers, or if they look particularly dangerous, effectively. Pretty similar stuff. If it has a mail server, then that flags it to us as more chance of a phishing campaign to be likely, whether that's a brand impersonation or targeting the company as well. And again, we also looked to do the takedown requests on those. Brand monitoring, still kind of working on this module myself at the moment. So in this demo tenant, we don't have any mentions. That's largely because the third-party service I'm using is kind of expensive, and I don't want to build too much data at this point whilst the rest of the module is not built out. But we are looking for mentions of the company, usually over the last 30 days, but then obviously reducing any duplication. We are testing at the moment brand imagery detections as well, so we'll be looking for like brand logos, favicons, and that kind of stuff, and then looking for where those appear online, the context in which they're appearing online, and then identifying whether or not those look to be a risk. So the idea there will be that we don't identify like a brand logo that's in a press release that's saying that your company is supporting another company or joining a partnership or something like that, and flagging that as a risk. Instead, it would be this logo appears on this web page, the domain name looks a little bit suspect, and the content of the web page appears to be like it's prompting users to log in or provide some kind of information, and we think that might be suspicious. It's that kind of logic. So ultimately, we're trying to reduce those false positives completely, and the idea being that it's an OSINT-led thing, so the analyst can check it and say, right, this looks suspect to us. Do you want to verify it? And I think that's a way that we can really help reduce that noise. The sentiment analysis as well, again, no data here, but what we're looking for is negative comments about the brand, negative comments about the company, anything that suggests a threat to the business as well, which comes under this threat intelligence section, which will be mentioning if somebody's specifically going after you as a company, then you'll get that information. Compromised credentials, that is pretty self-explanatory, I think. Again, it takes a couple of seconds to load because of the sheer number of employees in this instance, but we're pulling from different breaches. We can go into a record, we can see like where the source that is. That one's from Stealer Log, and then we can see like we also get a little breakdown of our numbers, like unique email addresses, passwords, and then we also get each data breach as well. So then we can go into data breaches, and I can see who's involved in those breaches once those records load. And then VIP monitoring. This is a very manual process, but we are basically building out profiles and interests from individuals that are in the company that are on like our approved list, and we're building out their online references. And then finally, we have like the knowledge base, which is all our documentation around what the modules are doing, how they work, and then finally the settings. And that's really it in a nutshell. If the platform sounds like something that you'd be interested in trying for your business, let us know, and I'll be more than happy to set you up on the platform for a trial, and then hopefully we can help keep your business secure. Thanks so very much. Goodbye.